What's going on? What's going on, my fellow traders? Welcome to Salini HQ. My name is Eltillo, and when I come through here, I just bring you a couple of trades, some green trades, some red trades. Disclaimer: I'm not a guru, I'm not a teacher, I'm not pretending to be. There's an open diary of my journey, and hopefully, if there's a new trader that comes across this and it helps them, like many have helped me, then I did my job. And the theme today, I'm just talking about like the more you wash, rinse, and repeat, the more you see tickers, you start to notice how they move in familiar ways. You know what I'm saying? Sgbx, Gsit, I traded a few times, and I just saw how familiar, like they have their way. These tickers have their way, the way they move. And in this presentation, I'll show you how I feel about it. And all you gotta do is stay in the game, wash, rinse, repeat. Like I told y'all, my obsession been entries. This thing has benefited me. Following my rules has benefited me. And at the end of the day, every time that we're off track, all we're doing is not abiding by our rules. And anytime you are doing well, you're just abiding by your rules. And that's what I've been noticing. All of a sudden, I have multiple green weeks. And when I look at my journal, this is why we journal, guys. This is why we take pictures of our charts. All I've noticed is that I go back to my rules. Whenever I derail and I get back to functioning well, I'm simply going back to my rules. So here I show you how that's beneficial, and also how wash, rinse, repeat. The longer you stay in the game, my mentor told me this a long time ago, you're gonna start to familiarize yourself with these tickers and how they move. Check this out. So like I always like to say, I like to start with the red trades. I'm the person that when you ask, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news first? I'm gonna tell you the bad news. That's just the way I'm built. So this is Vtyx. I like to let you know the entry, so in case you want to go and check it out yourself. I always think it's good to look at the chart when you hear about examples or anything. Remember guys, this is process, not profit, so I don't talk size here. I entered at $6.79 at 4:13 a.m. and I got out at $6.34 at 4:19 a.m. And again, the obsession of entries, I've been trying to focus on it as best as I can, and I've been doing pretty well. This is the initial pop at 4 a.m. and when it dipped and held and went back up, I tried to get in. My thought was that it would, break out from this initial top and then test the after hour high. That's how I traded. That's what I look for, and for it to typically keep going. Well, it ended up showing me a lower high, dropped, and I got out where I was supposed to be, and it held, and I didn't buy back. The reason why I didn't buy back is because I was buying back a lot, and I just found myself over trading. I was relating buying back to over trading and a little revenge trading, so I just completely stopped buying back. But if I would have, this would have been a good buyback, showing the little wicks of higher lows, and it did reclaim and it broke out. Basically, I was in too early, and it happens. Nothing is gonna be perfect, so at the end of the day, this is a good trade. There's a good loss because I followed my rules, and that's what it's all about. Let me see. The next one that was REPL. Let me find it for you real quick. Give me a second. REPL. Here we go. This was another one that I took a loss on. And this one, like I said, you got to do what you're supposed to do more times than not. And we know that we're looking for probability to be in our favor. And this is an example of it, because as good as I've been doing and been trying to perform at my best ability, nothing is 100%. So this one, as you can see, I bought at the top of the range, what I consider the top of the range. Let me tell you the exact entry and exit time. $8.95 at 8:21 a.m. and I got out at 8:70 at 10:28 a.m. And this is where I would have liked to enter, where this box is in a perfect world. Or again, like I say, the initial breakout from the start of the run, that first breakout, if I could buy here, or if I would have bought in this dip, but I bought up here in the top of the range, what I consider the top of the range already, trying my best to focus on the entry to make the risk reward better, basically. And again, in my journal, it is showing. So it is what it is. I was looking for the SS to happen, to dip and rip, waiting for the open. But if I would have got in these spots that I'm talking about, and I see this rejection right by this tier, that would have been a nice dollar. That would have been a nice dollar getting in here, getting out over here. But again, nothing is 100%, but I love it. It's a trade where I did what I had to do. I got out. Look where I got out. You can see right by that support area. That's where I was supposed to get out. You know, faked out a little bit because it did pop up, but it is what it is. Nothing is 100%. Now let's talk about these trades that I was talking about earlier. That the more you trade, the more you're gonna come across them, the more you're gonna know how to trade them. And look at Sgbx. Sgbx, I did battle with a few times. With it. But this is the one that I traded right here, the nickel. What we call the nickel, Dom calls it the first green day. We call it the nickel, the number 5. You know, we need our own community. Everybody needs to have their own community. Trust me, I suggest it. And my boy Left, whenever I say Left, is one of my closest friends that me and him deep dive into this trading world. And he's good at the number 5. The number 5 is part of the Tim Sykes framework. I am a student of Tim. I come from the Tim Sykes tree. So the number 5 is what he's good at, and he's made me better with it. The things I've learned from him, my boy, and Tim Sykes is coming full circle. But I only like it on the 72 turnaround. And what I mean is, I'm gonna show you in Gsit what I mean. So this right here was a nickel move. I would have loved to get in here. As you see, look, this is the first initial spot. If I could have bought here, or maybe on this dip. But it popped. I saw it hit my line. All my lines are color coordinated for a reason. And there's nothing like when you pull up to a chart and all your lines are already there because you've traded her before. Because they have familiarity. They have ways and nuances that are familiar. So I recognize that this right here, that line means gap fill. That's the gap fill line. So it hit the gap fill line, denied it, came down, but as you can see, the hold here was by the top of the initial pop. This red means my range line. I know how important that is. So I bought here. And once it did that reclaim and went up here, I should have been out right here in a perfect world, but I got out at $4. The entry was, let me tell you the exact entry and exit on Sgbx. It was, I entered at $5.87 at 4:37 a.m. and I got out at $6.48 at 4:57 a.m. Because once I saw the gap fill, I felt like the gap fill got denied. That was like a fake out breakout right here. So I immediately had the human trailing stop and I got stopped out. And that was a good trade. And that's what I want to keep doing. Wash, rinse, repeat. So when I look at my journal, let me see if it comes up. Again, you trading the same thing. I traded Sgbx on January 15th, May 18th, August 18th, October 10th, October 23rd. So this is what I'm talking about. What I mean, wash, rinse, repeat. You start trading the same tickers and you get familiar with them. The longer you stay in the game. Guru Yoda always told me that's what it was gonna be like. Gsit is next, and that's the same thing with Gsit. I traded Gsit a few times, but one of them I didn't record it. So let me see the one that I actually got the exit and entry on. I believe it was the one I did the intraday squeeze. I don't have the others though. Yeah, the intraday squeeze that I got in at $14.19 at 10:28 a.m. and I got out at $15.38 at 10:47 a.m. This is the intraday squeeze one right here. This thing was going bananas. And if you see, this is where I would have loved to be. And I saw it at this time, but I missed it. I took my eyes off of it. But to get in the 7s, this did exactly what I look for in pre-market. To get in the start of the move, in the beginning of the move, before the retail traders come in, you know, get involved by here, wait for the open. When it dips and rips like it did here, there's no reason to sell here if you're in around here, you know, in the 7s, and this thing went crazy. The way it was holding and it came out of this halt, I just knew. I'm like, this thing it got more to give. So I got in and I got me a little piece, you know. I guess I got shooken out because this area right here, you see this dip right here was, I was looking for a 2-to-1. So I don't have the numbers on, let me see. Yeah, I was risking a 2-to-1 because to get in where I got in, knowing me, yeah, this double bottom right here, I just didn't let myself get faked out. You know, you give yourself a little wiggle room. So let's say 1280. You know what I mean? That was a long distance looking for it to go crazy because you never know. We got stocks that go into the 20s and the 30s, but you got to listen to what it's telling you. I guess I got shook out and I got out of that one right there. But this is what I'm trying to do. The framework, because all I'm doing is trading the framework in my way. what I was taught by Guru Yoda, my mentor. So I got it on this day as well, right here. This is the nickel. This is the 72-hour nickel right here. Now I took a loss on it on this day. This was Friday. And you know what? I had no business on it. I was thinking to myself, the number 5, I was waiting for the red green. Red green was, the prior close was 11.42. I got in at 11.44, and my risk was the opening price of this Friday that just passed, which was 10.78, and I got out. But I was telling myself this was a good trade, but it wasn't, because it's not part of my system. It's not part of Sabalenka. Is about the 2 to 3, the 4, and the 5. I'm not short selling, but let me give you the example of what I mean right here. Let me see how big I can make this. Okay, so this is an example of what I mean, the 2 to 3. The 4 is right here, but I'm not short selling at the moment, but I'm gonna bring this all together. This is the first day. This is the 2 to 3. This is what I showed you in the other chart that I traded here, but this is the 15-minute chart. This is the 2 to 3. You get your money here, do what it do. Second day, 4, right? And then the 72-hour turnaround that I speak of, this is the 72-hour that I speak of, it's right here. And I got a successful trade here. You know what I'm saying? That's the one that I showed you on the 5-minute chart earlier. This is the number, this is the nickel, the number 5. That's what I like to do, because this is what I like, the 72-hour turnaround. This is the daily chart. So this is what I mean by the 72-hour turnaround, where you get involved on this one, 2 to 3, you short on this one, the 4, and then you short the 5. I traded here. I should have never been there. Right here, to me, we're already on the long kiss goodnight part of the framework. All I'm doing is wash, rinse, repeat the same thing, stay in the same slots, and going towards my rules all the time, guys. And that's just what I want to draw home. This is the message that I want to convey to my fellow traders. Go and fuck with your rules. If you stick to your rules, you'll be fine. This shows it. I had no reason to trade on Friday GSIT. I didn't. I gave back profits that I need to give back. Yeah, I had a green week, grateful for it, but the more you on point, the more you pay attention to the nuances when you're working your system. Once you back testing and all that, stick to it. Try your best to stick to it. That's what I've been doing, and it's been working. I hope you guys are having a good one. Enjoy your NFL Sunday. Go Pack Go. If you didn't know, until the next one. El tío coño.